Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you guys so much for joining us for the Power of One. I got it right.
You got it right. You always get it right. I'm just like, we smile because we're like waiting for something else to come out.
Yep, I got it right. Okay, so wow, a lot going on with the energies. I've been feeling really like we're moving towards this equinox and stuff. I don't know about you guys in the chat or how about you, Eileen, but I've really been feeling a lot of excitement. And, you know, I often notice how people seem to wake up around these equinoxes to stuff. But then I realize, like, wow, we can always wake up a little bit more, right?
Yeah,
it's not like you wake up and you're awake. It's like, wow, am I going to wake up a little bit more?
It's a lifelong process, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
So. Although when I first woke up, you couldn't have told me that. It's like, oh, my God, you know, conspiracy theories. It's right. All fake. And I was like totally awake. And now I'm so much more awake than I was then.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? And it's like that same thing. You know, when I was in Christianity, I felt like I was on the narrow road, as they say in the Bible, you know, the narrow path. And it was like, okay, you got the world. They're on the broad path. I was in Christianity. I was on the narrow road. But as I worked my way and, you know, began to dissect things in the Bible and came to a narrower truth and went out on the skinnier of the branches, the road was getting narrower. And then those in the mainstream Christianity, to me, were on the broad road. You know what I mean? Right. So the ones that just kind of go to church and they're doing the motions or whatever, you know. And then, you know, so it's like everything keeps narrowing down and, you know, and you don't realize it until you get there, you know, and you'll feel lonely a lot of times.
Do you feel like your worldview has expanded now? Like now you don't believe anything and you believe everything. Everything is possible and nothing is a fact. Like I've gone the narrow way and then boom, everything expanded. Right.
Right. I think the road's narrow because you don't need much room because you're alone. That's why it's narrow. Not so much that your viewpoint's gotten narrower. It's actually your viewpoint's gotten broader.
And fewer people are following it.
And fewer people are more open-minded and more accepting of everyone's viewpoint.
Except for here where everybody's hanging out. I loved the love stream last night. That was so much fun listening to April and Renee. And I took them in segments because I fell asleep. Didn't get to listen to the show. Woke up, put you guys on at 3 a.m. Fell asleep after April. Woke up and listened to Renee this morning. So it's like having 2 doses of love stream.
Right.
It's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, it worked out good, didn't it?
And that was so cool, April, sharing what you were talking about, because we only talked about it a little bit in comments about writing down your heart's desire and then going, wait a minute, I don't really desire this. Why am I writing this down? But maybe for years you thought that was your heart's desire because you never focused on it. You never picked it apart and wrote it down and like committed to it and signed your name to it. That is fascinating. That's a really cool tool to use manifestation to actually figure out what you want in life, what you're here
clarification.
Clarification.
Yeah.
That is
and that's
super
one
cool,
of the things
April.
that, absolutely. I think April's here. Rough day at the
April.
office, she says.
Sorry,
April.
Super cool. Thanks for sharing. That was awesome.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, can you explain the 40 Days and 40 Nights manifestation key? Because we did it last January as a group. We sort of talked about it.
And it wasn't a book. And I told Shane, I think I just only told you, I said, you know what, I'm going to put this down in a book finally, because it came to me in like 1990 word of mouth. Right. And it was something that was spread from person to person to person in the metaphysical fields of, you know, a conversation would come up about chakras or reading auras, and somebody might mention, oh, by the way, did you try the 40 Days and 40 Nights manifestation program yet? And you and I added the key. I added the word key, and we found that beautiful golden key. So it gave it a little more individuality, because there's like umpteen million manifestation books on Amazon.
Yeah, but if you
Oh
type it in there, I notice it comes right up. If you
my
type 40
God.
days and 40 nights, manifestation key, bam, it's right there.
I know, because otherwise it would be lost in the sea, which is wonderful. It's wonderful that there's that much in the field of manifestation.
Right,
So the thing was very strict, and you had to write a contract with yourself. It was delivered as a contract, and you had to write down the specifics of your manifestation of your goals, one, two, or three. Of course, everybody winds up putting five, six, or seven down, right? Right? We just keep
right, right.
adding to them, you know. But the fewer, the easier it is to get through it every night, because otherwise it's a long process, and you're just like, I'm not going to write it. I've got like 11 to write down. I'm not going to do it. So, and then you start to pick apart the details. Even though you pick the specifics, you allow the universe and God to deliver it to you in its own way.
Right.
But you're specific about what you want, you know? So, like you said, clarification,
Hmm.
not just, I want a bunch of money and I want to travel the world, well, the more specific you are, the easier it is for the universe and God to hear you and the universe to deliver.
But not being specific with your expectations about how to show up. So you might want to travel the world
Yeah,
and say a tour bus, but don't specifically think, well, it's got to come in money for me to buy the tour bus. Somebody might just donate a tour bus to you or
exactly.
something. I mean, it
Or
could come
you
in all
might win a
sorts of
free
ways.
flight around the world and go,
Right,
okay, I'm flying instead of in a bus. You
right,
never know how it's going to come to you, but you're still being specific, more specific on what you want, what
right.
your desires are in the moment. You're living in the moment with this contract. And then you're supposed to, first thing in the morning, after waking up, last thing at night, before you go to bed, twice a day, write them down, date it, and sign it like a contract with yourself, and put it aside for 40 days and 40 nights. And of course, the verbal rule then was, oh, and if you miss one, like on number 35 or 27, start over. So you can imagine how busy people are, and things come up, or you forget. And then you're like, oh my God, I have to start over. Nah, I'm not going to go through that again. Because people would literally start over and start over and start over and start over and never get to the end of it and feel really frustrated that they hadn't completed one program.
Well, one of the things I really liked about the book is you actually have some examples in there,
Yeah.
and it shows how you can change it up a little bit. So it's not just you're just repeating the same thing every
Yeah.
time you write it down. You're
Bullet
saying it in
points,
different ways.
little
Yeah,
sentences, long
yeah,
paragraphs and essays,
right,
a note, a list of things to do, changing it every day, signing it different. Leaving the gratitude is really important, to give it a lot of gratitude. And so what did I do to change it? I said, do it once a day. That's still 40 days and 40 nights. Either do it
right,
in the morning or do it at night, or, somewhere in between. And if you miss a day, do not panic. The next day, write two. And if you miss 2 days because you were traveling or something big happened, don't panic. The next day, write three. You know what I mean? You can
right,
play catch up by writing your individual contracts. So at the end of the 40 days and 40 nights, you have 40 signed contracts with yourself and the
right.
creative universe, and with God, and with your higher self, if you like. And you can do it on like just note paper for kids' schools. It's like 79 cents, I think, the
Right. Like a
notebooks.
spiral, yeah.
Or you can go buy a leather bound notebook. If you still have a Barnes and Noble, they start at like $8. A journal. They'll do like I don't think it's real leather. I think it feels like leather. It could be real leather. You never know.
Right.
So that rule changed. And what else? Definitely added a few things to it, like speaking it out loud, because the power of the spoken word is
Mm-hmm.
so powerful. Always has been in magic. So speaking it out loud after you've written it is really important, because that's giving it kinetic energy. So you've given it electrical energy with your thoughts, you've given it magnetic energy with your heart, but you're
Mm-hmm.
not just leaving it at that. You're speaking it out loud and giving it the verbal, you know, kinetic
Mm-hmm.
energy is going out with it. And then it says it's usually important in law of attraction work to act on it in some way, right? Some
Right.
people act on it symbolically, and some people really act on it. It kind of demonstrates to the world you're serious, you really want this, and you're willing to do something for it.
Hmm.
Like if somebody sits in a chair and says, I want to win the lottery, I want to win the lottery, I want to win the lottery, but they never go out and buy a lottery ticket, there's no way the universe can answer them. They have to get up and do something and be part of the process, right? You got to
Oh,
get the ticket.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that came to me once before, like, where if somebody feels like they're supposed to move, go ahead and do those things that you would do before you actually start, moving your furniture and all that, like
Yeah.
cleaning out the closet, just all those little things that
Getting
you
rid of
have to
junk
do as you get ready to move, as if you're going to move,
as if you're
and
going to
get,
move.
yeah, and get that momentum going, and then watch everything else start to fall in
Yeah.
place, and you'll
It's
go
like,
beyond the planning phase into the actual it happening,
it's
you
like the universe
manifesting
gets
it.
behind you. And
Yeah.
how somebody said, if you want a new car, you can't afford one, go test drive one. They don't
Right.
check your bank records before they put you behind the wheel and let you test drive.
Right.
Maybe they do for Maserati. I don't know. But, a normal car, you can go test drive cars if that's important to you.
Right.
So I think the action and the spoken word is important. And then it's a very short book. It's only 111 pages and it's easy to follow. It's really easy to follow. There's a guideline to get you started with all the steps so you just don't miss anything.
Right.
And it's important to allow it. It's important to let it happen in its own time.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've done your 40 days and 40 nights. I also talk a little bit about this, some people are getting comfortable with this more than used to, and that's the idea that you ask God, you ask source energy, but you command matter. Here on earth, this is your arena to command. This is where you make things happen, whether you want to or you don't want to. You want to get married, you get married. You want to move, you move. You want a specific job, you get a specific job. This is your playground for commanding matter without offending God. It doesn't offend
Right.
God if you decide to command matter. In fact, like we said last week, it's in the Bible, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Free
About
will and sovereignty and all of that good
making
stuff.
the
Yeah.
mountain move.
Right.
Remember?
Oh yeah.
You say to the mountain, move, and the mountain will move. It's almost like a statement. This is your area of command, and God's area is much bigger than yours. It's the entire everything.
Right.
And you're not offending God if you work within your own little sphere. So it's kind of looking at your manifestations as if you are commanding matter to work with you,
Right.
you know,
Yeah. Absolutely.
and then
Yes, I'm
stepping
glad
back.
she called.
Wow.
I'm glad she called in and was talking about it because that's one of those things where just putting it out on paper and doing that, she came to the realization that, do I really want this? I don't even really want this.
That's
You
so
know?
cool. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's the first feedback I've heard about that
Yeah.
happening. I've heard from other people where it works, and they're like, oh my God, I just started doing this. Somebody here started doing it, and within 3 days, one of the things on her list just popped into being. And
Wow.
she's like, can it be that fast? And I said, of course it can be that fast because you might have been desiring it and attracting it for many, many years. It's just
Right.
there hanging around you in the ethers of possibility.
And then starting the 40 days and 40 nights manifestation key just added enough of the focus
The focus,
that it brought it into
the
fruition.
observer
Yeah.
effect popped in, and the
Right.
xenome effect.
Right.
Remember, Cynthia Sue said the xenome effect, that which you focus on a lot, really gets grounded in matter, really becomes firm.
Right.
So, for her to get a result in 3 days, and she's not finished, she's still working on it, but that was one of like 3 or 5 things she wanted. And one of them just popped up really quick. And I said, I'd love to take credit for it and say it was the book, but no, that's something that's been hanging around you a long time. And I'll just show the book here because Shane did the cover. It's so cool.
Very nice.
And then here's the back. And it's easy. 111. And April is my book guinea pig. I swear. She did a paragraph, a page in the Mandela Effect, friend or foe book. And then I said, did you want me to send you one of these as a thank you for being part of that book? And she said, no, I already bought it. I'm doing it. And I'm like, oh my God.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to see that when things start coming. And I wonder how many people are in the middle of something like they're just about ready to manifest something and just adding that little bit of focus. You know what I mean? Just makes it pop right in. 3 days. That's amazing.
My friend said she never spoke it out loud. Okay, so she's been thinking about it. She's been imagining it. She's been desiring it. She's been, really thinking of how to manifest something, but without speaking about it.
Right.
And a lot of us are embarrassed to speak about it. So you might have to do it while driving or in the mirror. Maybe you don't want your friends and family sitting in the living room while you suddenly command the universe to move for you.
Right. And really getting that gratitude for already having it and knowing
That's
it's,
what I forgot to add. You write it
yeah,
as if, you already have it. And the
yeah,
gratitude. Thank you. I love you. I do a lot of Ho'oponopono. Oh, there's Ho'oponopono in it. We put the thank you. I love you on every page and we
that's
made it
right.
invisible. So it's
Yeah.
invisible. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. It's so much fun. We had to do it again.
Yeah. We did it with both books. Just so
Both
you
books.
guys know, both books are infused with Ho'oponopono.
So they have every page you turn is showering you with thank you. I love you. So you might be getting an extra boost, right? Oh,
Absolutely.
there's a couple of other facts in there that might help. Anytime you try to manifest something that only benefits you, doesn't benefit your family, doesn't benefit your community, you can manifest it, but it seems to take a little more time and a little more effort. As soon as you start trying to manifest things that benefit your whole family or benefit the whole community or, gosh, benefit the whole world, boom, the universe just kind of jumps in and pushes it. You get a little extra help the more it benefits. Have you noticed that when you're
Right.
manifesting things?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
the
interesting.
service to others effect,
Let's call
I
it the
think.
service to others effect because nobody's written about that.
Right.
Nobody's talked about that, Shane. And it's something that we've just noticed in our community
Mm-hmm.
because we are so service to others,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Just like the Law of One talks about.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it really does help manifest things quicker. So when you're thinking, a lot of people used to say, "How?" Ask yourself, "How can I serve?" If you're like stuck between jobs and careers and making new money, just go, how can I serve? How can I best serve
Mm-hmm.
in this body, right here, right now, this personality, in this location? How can I best serve? And that might open up a world of opportunity that otherwise wouldn't open.
Yeah, that was one of the things in the Law of One that was so cool is it was talking about when your service to others, you've just got the momentum going with you. It's like you're going with the current, right? But
Yeah.
when you're service to self, if you think about the people at the top, that's sort of like I don't know, just taking advantage of people, and they're all about service to self. Even if it's service to their group, it's service to our group. It's still service to self. But when stuff starts to break apart, it's it's built upon disintegration, right?
Right.
So if something like
Dividing little
exactly
dividing off bits of it is what it's built on, not
right,
being in the
so
flow.
so say they're into something illegal and they begin to get busted and start the like their house of cards start to fall. They withdraw from the group and get back to self-preservation at that point because it's like ingrained this whole idea of disintegration within the service to self thing. They'll forget about their little group and just try to protect themselves if it ever came down to it. So because of that, it is just like a house of cards. It will begin to fall. So uh,
Maybe that's why the whole society is feeling like it's falling now. It
yeah,
feels like it's about to crumble because even those things that appear to be service to others, like banks and food from big corporations,
right.
if they're if they're made in a way that harm others, then even though their purpose is to serve others, they're doing a disservice to others
Because they're really doing it for the money.
because
So
they're
if
really doing it for the money. So maybe those are going to fall away because
right,
maybe the ingredients, pardon me, aren't that
right,
good. Maybe they're not
mm-hmm,
using the healthiest ingredients. So maybe that will fall away. Maybe the finance rates are just too high for people to be able
right,
to keep their homes. So that should fall away.
right,
I'm hoping that the transition is easy and gentle, that we just start to click into better programs, better
mm-hmm,
services, better food, better education, better medicine, better media, entertainment. I hope it's that kind of a gradual change instead of like a lot of people want the whole system to just fall apart tomorrow. And
mm-hmm.
then we'd have anarchy and chaos. And then chances are people like us would not become the new leaders and do it humanely. People, who really want power would step in and try to fill that void. And
I
then we
sure
could
would want to run for office. I know that much.
Yeah, and then we could end up in like a dictatorship or a military dictatorship instead of a corporate dictatorship, which is what we seem to have now.
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I'm not wishing for it all to fall apart tomorrow. I'd kind of like it, I'd like it all to be replaced for sure, but
Hmm.
gradually, piece by piece, so that we can maintain a kind of the happiness and the order that we already enjoy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can think about that with any system like, education or whatever. You don't want to just like, close down all the schools. You want to begin to incorporate changes that, over time rather than
Into the
try to,
curriculum.
right, instead of trying to just tear it all down and leave the kids home for 3 summers in a row
Oh,
or
I'm sure they'd
something.
love that. They'd
Oh,
be like,
yeah,
yeah,
I
no
would.
school for 3 years. They're redoing school.
They're figuring it out. Party while they're figuring it out.
Do you ever watch Theoria Apophasis? Shane and I were laughing about trying to say people's names. I could be totally messing that up. Do you know Theoria? He's bald. He's very Greek, but he's American. He's got tattoos all over the place. And he gives brilliant videos on magnetism, light. He
Mm,
totally understands the electric universe stuff and the plasma and the Tesla stuff. And then his other videos are all about cameras and lenses. He loves to review cameras and lenses. But I always go to him, and he's got a lot of subscribers, like a few 100,000.
oh, wow. No, I
And
might have seen him, but I don't know him by name.
he just did a quick video, I think last night. Sometimes he does it in his bathrobe before bed. He's got this big TV screen and he puts it on and there's a fire in the TV screen. It's really funny. And then he's got his electrical. You're in his lab where he experiments with magnets, magnetism, and light and
Very
electric.
cool.
He's the one who taught me and a bunch of people that light is not a photon that gets spit out of the sun and travels, trillions of miles or whatever to light up our skies. It's an energy wave. It's a wave coming out of the sun.
Mm,
And the plasma around it, the air and the space around it is so full of electrified material, or plasma, as Tesla liked to call it, that as the wave travels through the plasma field, it electrifies behind it. It makes an electric cushion. So there's no photons of light. There's only waves. There's only waves of
wow.
matter, waves of light, waves of magnetism, waves of plasma, waves of water, right?
Right.
And he
So,
made total sense out of that.
so
I
does he believe in the sun being cold fusion, that it's really not hot? It's
Yeah,
just the. He does? Oh,
yeah,
okay. Because I've heard of that
yeah,
before. I've heard that some people believe that
totally cold.
if there wasn't all of the particles and things that the light hits off of, like our atmosphere, we wouldn't even see the sun. It's like sort of agitating the atmosphere, and it
Because
and
we
it
have an atmosphere.
right, and then it
It
agitates,
heats up the
all the
wave.
atoms on, in our atmosphere and on the surface, and it heats them up
Heat.
like your car, like you feel it heating up your car. But if it weren't for your car being there, it wouldn't be heating up the car, right? So there
Isn't
would be
that
nothing.
cool?
That's crazy, isn't
That's
it? So imagine you
crazy.
could
Like,
go into space and it's black, and
it'd be cold. You could be flying around the sun,
you'd have to have something to
freezing
hold up,
cold,
and
right?
mm-hmm.
And you could be closer to the sun than we are now and just freeze to death in moments
It's
because you don't have
wild,
an
huh?
atmosphere around you
Which
to
is
create.
interesting because they just launched that sun probe that's supposed to get closer to the sun
Yep.
than ever, closer
Yep.
than Mercury, and go over the poles and get views of it that we've never seen before. So I
That's
wonder if
going to
they're
be
finally
cool.
figuring that out, that it doesn't really get hot. And they're like, shh.
It's like mainstream science is still holding on to particles and particle science, and they're not
Yeah.
moving into the electric universe and magnetic, like Thunderbolts Project. You guys just flip through a bunch of old videos on Thunderbolts Project channel on YouTube, and you'll totally understand how an electrified universe of waves is completely different to particles,
What we've been told. Huh?
what we've been told. So there are no black holes. The black holes are one end of a torus or a plasmoid. So imagine your torus and now look at it from one end. What would you see? You would see everything going in, wouldn't you? Like
Mm-hmm.
that. Well, flip it on its side and everything's going up and in the other side and down and in the other side and it's all coming out again.
Right.
So, what we're thinking are black holes theoretically, because they've never been seen, photographed, or found. Neither is dark matter. Dark matter has been completely invented to explain how planets are suspended,
Hmm.
how stars are suspended. They're like, oh, look at all those billions of galaxies out there. What is suspending them? It must be dark matter that we can't see. causing a gravitational pull. So you don't even need dark matter when you look at David Lapointe's channel on plasmoids, or what does he call
Mm-hmm.
them? Primer fields. As soon as you put a torus next to a torus and there's a torus around each object, they create their own fields and hold each other up. Did you see those videos where he did the
Those are
primer
the
field?
ones where the guy disappeared for a while, and then
Yeah.
yeah, oh, yeah, okay, yeah,
And then
yeah.
came back
We showed a piece of
mysteriously.
those. Yeah.
Yeah, so he even shows how you don't even need dark matter to explain how everything is in suspension. That's with electric and magnetic force. That's electromagnetic force.
Well, that makes sense because if you're saying that the electric universe is different than particle physics, that we've been told,
Yep.
the equations of particle physics is what requires the dark matter to make the equations come out right.
That's his point.
Yeah.
That's theoria apothesis, I just, however we say it. And he's like, these are mathematicians. Do not give the universe to a bunch of mathematicians sitting around a table going, we need to make this formula work. Okay, we'll just add this number. Ta-da! It all
Mm.
works, because he said then you're making up the universe in order to make an equation work. But if you go out and look at what's really happening, then maybe do the math after that, but you don't need math
Well, that's what
for,
quantum physics is all like. That's why
yeah,
they have the extra dimensions and stuff. They're like, oh, we got to add some extra dimensions or the math doesn't work
or the
out.
math
So,
doesn't work. But then when you get into the quanta, the math doesn't work anymore. So now they're trying to make up the universe fit their mathematical models. And
right.
that's standard science. And I'm like, well, that's always been that way. Nothing's changed, because look at the people they executed. I don't know which one per se, but like they tortured and executed Bacon and Copernicus and anybody who challenged the standard model of science of the day was not only shunned, now they're shunned, but back then they'd be executed for heresy.
Right.
So it's always been that way. We've always had mainstream science says this is the way it is, and then they protect it and they go, and nobody's ever going to change it. Nothing will change this. This is how it is. And of course, that's not science. Science changes every day, every moment. You're changing your theories.
But within limits, because even nowadays, as much as it seems like we're free to be free thinkers these days, if I mean, many archaeologists and people like that dig up things that don't fit with the status quo, oh, well, that's an anomalous artifact you found. It doesn't fit with it. We're going to put it on the shelf. If it doesn't fit and it looks like humans were around 30,000 years ago,
Yes, yes.
and if you push that
It gets,
idea,
it gets
then you
locked
get shunned.
away.
Yeah, and you get shunned if you're the scientist and you won't let it go. If you try to dig, and
It's
that's the
called
heart
hidden
of,
archaeology.
yeah,
There's so much. They found bones of Celts with red hair in a Florida bog, of all places, from 20,000 years ago. What were red-headed Celts doing in Florida 20,000 years ago?
right.
200 bodies. And of course, it went to the Smithsonian Institute, right? And
Right.
got locked away.
Yeah. But that's sad because, as a scientist, the heart of science is finding something that doesn't fit with the
That's the
general
fun part.
model. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the fun part,
Yeah.
right?
That's the
It's like they
fun part.
ruin the finding the gem in the rough by shunning people for doing that. It's almost like, I don't know if they're just jealous, like, oh, they found, that this is like the discovery of, this should be something that defines their career, not ends it. You
Well,
know what I mean?
our science is the opposite so far. Human science says this is the theory. We all agree on it. Does everybody agree on it? Okay, we got a consensus here. Nothing will ever change it. Don't even go out and look for the
Right.
anomalies, because if you find them, we will shun you and your anomaly, because we're not going to let you change our
Hmm.
facts, our theories. Well, they're not theories anymore. They say they're facts.
Right.
Like Darwin,
Right.
survival of the fittest. There's plenty of evidence for survival of the fittest out there. Yes, but there's also spontaneous evolution.
Yeah.
There are plants and animals that have sprung out of nowhere, that have no connection. In fact, the human being has not even been traced all the way back. There's that missing link, and it wasn't Lucy. They found, what was Lucy? I think you told me it was a tooth, right?
Oh,
Wasn't
yeah. It was
Lucy
just,
a tooth?
it was like they took the jaw and they manipulated the way it's even sitting in the museum and things like that to make it fit their model and things like that. Yeah,
Oh,
there's a lot
yeah.
of dishonesty. I mean, it's almost handled like a religion more than it is like just free, open-minded, free thought science.
More like a religion. And some guy who went into the pyramid, the big one, in the 1800s, he was a lord or a baron. A lot of our aristocracy used to be our explorers. They had the money to
Right,
go. He actually wrote in red ink the name of Khufu or whoever it was.
right.
And everybody went, my God, he discovered the main pyramid is the final resting place of. And it was him. He wrote it in red ink because there were no cartouches, there was no artwork, there was nothing to identify what those three pyramids that are left, right, out of the
Right.
many that have been reported in the 1700s, right?
So that's how it became a tomb then, huh?
That's how it
Just
became a tomb. So it could have been a big electrical power plant
right.
before that until this aristocrat from England in like 1840 walked through and did graffiti in red ink and said, "Ah, I've discovered." That's all BS. That's just
Yeah, you get
BS.
locked up nowadays. You do that, you know. You're
Oh,
defacing the pyramid. What are you doing?
well, he got to claim that he discovered its purpose and who built it. Of course, that put it back about 4 or 5 thousand years, maybe 4,000 years. And they're saying these pyramids were there like before the Sphinx, probably. And the Sphinx is dated back to what, 12,000 years? Actually, if you follow the precession of the equinox, wasn't it like Leo? Wasn't it the age of Leo 12,000 years ago?
Oh, was it? I'm not sure.
And that's what they're dating it to with the base and the water and the wearing away of the base of the Sphinx. And they're going, maybe it did have a lion head. Maybe it didn't have a man's head and it didn't have a dog's head because it's definitely got the body of a lion.
So it's almost like when you look at some of these things, like some of the pictographs and things like that, where it looks like they knew about planets that we just discovered in the 1900s, but they knew about it way back, real far away. If you look into any of the, Anunnaki type stuff or the ancient
Oh, yeah, it's all there, right?
Sumeria
There's
and
like
things like that, it's like we're on the path of rediscovery rather than
you
discovery.
are, which leads you to the book, which we haven't finished reading, right? I've read 56 pages of it. Have you read any of the Adam and Eve story, which basically a group of scientists from the 1700s and the 1800s who have all been, this book came out in 1950 and the government said it was too dangerous to leave out there, so it was redacted and removed for security reasons, and it's
Right?
been released by FOIA, not the whole book, but we've got the whole book. Shh, right?
I don't have it. I don't know what you're talking about. But I am on 50. I think I'm on 30, somewhere between 30 and 50 as well. So my
Okay,
camera
so
grows.
that shows a cyclical reset of 6 to 12,000 years. So we
Hmm.
get to rediscover everything every 6 to 12,000 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just makes you wonder how much is like that. I mean, even the way we saw the reemergence of the mud floods and all sorts of, it's like constantly there's new things coming out, you
I
know?
don't even know what to think of the mud floods. I think
Yeah, me
Tartaria was
either.
a cool empire, and I can see we were not taught about it, that's for sure. And it was big. It was big. But I don't know about those mud floods because I can see where the buildings of the past are so much bigger and so much more complicated and complex than the buildings of today.
Yeah.
When you walk in them and the doors are 20 feet high and there's statues and gargoyles, carved all over them, I can see why people look at these and go, these belong to a different civilization than the one that we
Absolutely.
currently have. Otherwise, we've devolved in our building
Right.
techniques, right? To
Yeah,
bricks, to
exactly.
little bricks and concrete,
Well, in art school, we
steel.
would we would look and they would show us how you can find the golden ratio in it and how they knew about that all back then and they'd go over and over on the precision of all this stuff and even saying that some of the stuff like these what do they call it?
Megaliths.
Yeah, the megaliths
That's a cool channel, Megalith channel.
that they're so big that we don't even really have anything to move anything
We
like that.
couldn't move them. What are they like? 200 tons in some
200, yeah,
places. We
exactly.
don't have a crane that can hold 200 tons. Apparently, like they're like we couldn't move this piece that's obviously carved and transported today.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
how
and
did
if
they
you
do it?
and then that leads us to giants, right?
I guess giants, and I mean It's like Devil's, what's it called? That one from Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where they say that that's a tree stump. What's it called?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
the
those weird buttes, those weird. Um, they're not even around mountains. They just poke out of the earth, and
right
they have all the lines of a
that looked like the bark or something of these
yeah, they look
giant
like
trees.
bark. What was that? Devil's Tower, maybe? Is that what it's called? Devil's Tower, Utah. And in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, or was it the Fourth Kind?
I'll look in the chat.
They
It's,
everybody's drawn to it, and of course on the top of it is where the landing site is for the UFOs. So some people look at that and say that is not a calcified, what's the word when it turns to stone?
petrified. Yeah,
It's a petrified tree stump. I mean, come on, there had to be giants around if that was the size of a tree going back.
and somebody was able to cut it because clearly it's like cut perfectly.
Cut right across the top, right?
It's crazy.
Crazy, but it's fun. It's fun looking at all this stuff. But the reason I brought up Theoria Aposhasis, if I can say his name correctly, is because last night he
Devil's
was
Towers.
Devil's Tower. There you go.
Yeah.
He just did a little political comment. He just sat down and he said, "Guys, there's one thing we can all agree on," and he was completely right. Those who seek power should never be given power over anybody. And right now, the system is that we're currently in, those who seek power, we give power to. You know, you have to seek it. You have to want to control a lot of people. And then the people have to sit back and pretend to pick them. But we know that they're not really picking them because whoever gets to run in the first place is already pre-selected, right? We never get a maverick. We never get real mavericks up there who change systems because if you're a maverick, you're just, the door is closed. You know, you can't get in. It's a club. And he's like, you really, really want to live in a society where you determine where the wise people are. And then when you find a room full of wise people, you select them and go, you're our leader. And the person's going to go, no, thanks, don't want the job, not me. And you're going to go, please, we need you to lead at the moment because you don't want power, because you don't want to rule and control a lot of people. And I was like, God, that is just so true. It's like the wrong people lead on the top levels, on the top levels. And that's where we get the greed and the bad ingredients that go into things that actually harm people, you know, instead of making them healthier. Because why? They're cheaper.
You know, it seems like it would be a lot easier to do if we were looking at a village, right, where everybody knew everybody, and then it's sort of like when it comes to time for vote, nobody's campaigning or trying to be the leader, and everybody just go cast, you know, they cast the ballot of who they've interacted with and who they think, you know, and maybe not even one person, like I'd say like a panel, a council of
A
people.
council.
Right, because you know everybody's got their strengths and weaknesses, and you know, like they say, at least three, I would say, because you know the Bible says a strand of three is not easily broken. So
Well,
if
it
you
gives
have
you
like,
more opinions. There's a safety net in a group. You
right,
don't have to worry about the decision of one person. But then if somebody's running around your village going, vote for me, and passing you 10 and $20 bills, that would be the last person you want to put in charge of your
absolutely,
village and your life and your children and your education and your medicine and your food and your
right,
water. You want someone you can trust, not people who are going to buy their way into it.
yeah.
You know, that shows the wrong
It'd be hard to
motivation.
expand that to a
Motivation.
global thing, though. You know, I think you would have to keep it small and not globalized when it comes to power like that. Do you know what I
Well,
mean?
that's what Ubuntu says with Michael Tellinger and communes. They're saying you have to go back to the community and you have to lead from within, just what you said. And you have to lead small and you have to govern small. Because as soon as you start to globalize something, you lose the humanitarian aspects of why you're doing it. And it becomes a cold, hard system that steps on anything that gets in its way.
Really, if anybody doubts that, look at, you know, your cell phone provider and what it's like to try to get someone on the phone to resolve some sort of issue.
For your
If
cable
you were dealing with
provider.
some, yeah, exactly,
Yep.
something like that that's sort of been globalized, or
Yep.
now we've got these huge companies like Amazon, and if God forbid something go wrong, you got to contact them.
Good
They've
luck
got probably
finding the
a
phone number.
they probably got a room full of people on the phone that's larger than the whole village. I'm imagining. You know what I'm saying? With all the people in it, so
The
yeah, it's
larger something gets, the less humane it becomes. It
and the more
becomes the
corruptible.
more corruptible it
Because
becomes.
then you're dealing with bigger numbers. It's easier to have corruption and it be hidden, because it's if you're talking about this multi-billion-dollar company, you can easily hide $1 million that's going into a single person's pocket or
Oh,
something like
easy,
that. You know
easy
what I mean?
peasy, right?
But if
Yeah.
it's like a village where everything's watched, and there's the treasurer, the person over the food or whatever, you know what I mean? And then it's everything's so small that it's easy to track things, rather
Yeah.
than being a global thing.
But yeah, not that this is related, but it kind of is. I saw Scott Harrison put up a video on his little Mandela Effect channel now, because his old Mandela Effect channel's become a gamer channel. I think it's a
Hmm.
ball gamer, I'm not sure. And he showed where Dettol in England is Lysol. It's not the same company, but it's basically the same product. And
Right,
it kills 99.99% of all germs and viruses, blah, 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 according to the statements of advertising it and marketing it, which is
right,
probably based on some tests. He picked up his bottle of Dettol, and on the bottom of it, it said, manufactured in October, kills coronavirus. It was in there with all the lists of viruses. And he
right.
said, hang on a minute, guys. The outbreak didn't really occur until, I think, wasn't it December? And then in January, it got like serious. People started paying attention in January. This was already written into marketing campaigns to get on that bottle manufactured in October. It would have to have been written into the marketing for that product like months before, if not a year before.
Right. I think with the coronavirus, it's sort of like, because I heard that the Lysol, or that brand, whatever that is,
Dental.
doesn't kill the new coronavirus.
And
So
it
even
says
though
it does. And it says it
it,
does. They've
right, so they're gonna have to fix that,
It
because
says it does. So, and then he
so
looked
it's
it
like
up, and
bird flu. It's
he found
sort
out
of
who
like,
owned the virus. The virus is patented. Did you know the coronavirus is patented like the Zika virus is? So it's
hmm,
owned by a company.
no,
So every time I think, I'm thinking, who stands to gain money from anything that becomes big and everybody's talking about it and they're afraid of it and they got to buy something and they got to protect themselves from it. I think, well, who stands to gain the money? And again, that goes back into global control, global government, global medicine,
right.
global medicine. Who would stand to gain from something that is actually patented and owned by a company? And
Definitely the place with the anti, what do they call it? Like just the
yeah, the
medical field,
antivirus, the thing that kills the virus in the home.
right?
And of course, if they came out with a vaccine as well, because that makes billions. So I do look at everything that happens now from a corporate standpoint. My little mind goes, is anybody going to make big money because of this? And how?
Right.
How would they make money?
So I think it's like Sarah saying, coronavirus is a blanket term. So yeah, it's like more of a category than an individual, like bird flu. I mean, there could be all sorts of bird flu strains. You know
Oh,
what I
but my
mean?
friend's daughter got the virus, and she went in and said,
The
"But we've
corona,
had
the new corona, or what?
just the flu virus," and went in and said, "Is this a coronavirus?" And the doctor said, "No, without testing, there's no way they can know which strain of virus you have without testing." And she said, "Well, my mother's had the flu shot," and the doctor went, "Coronavirus did not go into the flu shot this year. They only put like 200 strains, but there's like 1,000 strains of flu. So if they know that the coronavirus didn't go in as a strain to the current flu shot, then it must be an individual strain for which they've announced now that they'll have a vaccine against corona within 12 months. So next flu season, the whole world can go and protect itself if they want to against corona." But then again, I'm just pointing out the facts that that is a multi-billion-dollar move
Oh yeah.
in a global scheme. That's going to make billions for the company. But then I
Like
have
I was saying last night, the numbers just aren't nothing for us to even worry about
no.
right now. I know it sounds alarming when you're just looking, and you're hearing all these people are dead, but it's such a small amount according to the whole of everyone. She's saying that SARS, MERS, and now COVID-19 are all coronaviruses.
And
Okay.
ask her who owns the coronavirus. It's patented. Did she look up and know which company actually owns it?
See, I think it would be, do they own one of the coronaviruses or all of the coronaviruses?
Oh, they own the corona strain. Just like they own the Zika. I looked up the ones who own the Zika strain when they kept saying Florida was going to be invaded with Zika 2 or 3 years ago, and that didn't happen.
Right.
But we got the GMO mosquitoes released in the Keys with Bill
Right.
Gates and Oxitect, an English company called Oxitect. They made genetically modified mosquitoes, I think, to stop dengue fever.
Hmm.
So Zika's owned by the Rockefellers. I can name that because I actually looked that patent up. So
Hmm.
the Zika virus is actually, I think it's interesting that most named viruses now are owned by companies. It's like, how do they get to own the virus? Maybe that's part of the process of developing the vaccine. Maybe to develop the vaccine, you have to own the virus.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Maybe just kind of like a star that gets discovered. If you discover what it is and come up with a way to combat it,
To
then you
fight
just
it,
you
then
just
it
sort of
belongs to you.
automatically,
The
yeah.
virus belongs to you. It's interesting because people are still oohing and eyeing at TR3Bs, at black triangles. And if you look up TR3B patent, you can read that the American government owns the black triangle craft.
Hmm.
So we can
Is it
actually,
back engineered, or does it
I
get
would
into
guess
any of
that
that?
it is. I would, no, it won't tell you that. It'll
Oh,
just tell you
okay.
it belongs to the Navy. It's like,
Hmm.
why does the Navy need triangles? Or, but,
Right.
okay. But, or maybe I'm thinking of something else that was owned by the Navy. Anyway, look it up, guys. Just put into your,
Yeah.
your internet search TR3B patent. What amazes me is that they'll allow you to look up the patents of who owns the Black Triangle craft. It's like, why are they even putting that out there? Why
Right.
why, why can we find that? Or put corona virus patent, it'll pop up. And Scott Harrison's going, why are they putting that there? Why are they letting us see who owns this dastardly virus?
Well, it's even like that with the stuff they spray all the time that we never say. I mean, you can look up the spraying, the apparatus they use to spray the stuff that they're not spraying, and
It's like,
the
why do they
compounds that they're spraying that they're not spraying. You can look up all of this stuff, and there's
yeah,
patents for all of it. Weather modification and global, what do they call it? They call it
aerosol
geo engineering patents.
geoengineering, and it has a
Yeah.
specific name. And I used to know what that name was, and it has to do with aerosol. Do you remember what
Oh
it's
yeah,
called?
stratospheric aerosol injections.
There,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
You are like a walking dictionary for me. Stratospheric aerosol injections. There you
Yeah.
go, guys. So it's really interesting how much you can find out if you're willing to actually spend the time to look online for who owns and who
That's funny.
benefits.
They're like, this is a secret, but we don't want to let anybody else, Well, we're willing to put it at the patent office and make sure we're covered and nobody else can do it, but we're not doing
We're
it.
not doing it, but we're not doing it. But now we're covered. Nobody can steal it from us. That is
Well, officially, though, I think that's what would happen. If you actually went to them and say, why do you have a patent for this? Well, we're not actually doing anything with it,
just for the
but
future, just in
just
case
in
we want to
case we
do
ever
it
do.
in the
Yeah.
future.
We're decades away from doing that,
We're
by the way.
decades away from
That's
that.
what you remember the thing? It's like, man, they all got the same memo. Say, we're decades away, because
We're
everybody said
decades
that.
away from being able to do that.
Yeah.
But it's all online. And I'm finding stuff online harder and harder and harder. It's much harder to find alternative anything online. I'm like, darn, the internet's gotten too big because there was a period of time where you could go online and easily find natural remedies and herbs to fix things that you or your family members were experiencing. And now you really have to dig for them. It's all the old standard, buy this, buy that pops up.
Yeah, and another thing, when you try to find a Mandela effect, it just wants to autocorrect it to the new way. But there is a there is a trick that's been around
What's that?
forever. Actually, it's not a new trick, but you put it in quotation marks. But even that now, you used to put it in
You
quotation
put
marks.
it in quotation
It
marks.
wouldn't correct anything. It would give you
Couldn't
exactly
correct it
what you
at
asked.
all.
But now it still like tries to correct it for you, even in quotation marks. And like, search for this instead. Yes, that's what I said with the quotation marks. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it does
interesting.
feel like the internet has gotten so big and so controlled that it's not as what's the word? It's like the first few decades, it was like, wow, look at all this information. It's unfiltered.
Right.
It's alternative. It's people powered. It's people putting it out there.
Yeah,
And
they've
now I'm
gotten a
like,
lot
God, I
better
can't
about.
find that anymore. I can't find
Yeah,
the people powered stuff online anymore.
they're getting better about suppressing it. That's for sure.
Well, perhaps somebody will actually start an alternate internet for us, for real,
Yeah.
so that not with 10 people on it, but available to the entire world who has a computer and has a modem and has Wi-Fi. And I'm not talking about the dark web or anything like that, because that's just gross and scary, and nobody should like mess with the dark web. You know,
No, it's not, it's actually not as bad as you think. That's actually ran by
really,
the government too, though.
really.
Yeah.
I just imagine all kinds of sinister things happening on the dark
There
web. I've
probably
never
is, but
even looked.
yeah, there probably is, just like anything else. It is it's not quite like as much like the Wild West as you're expecting it to be. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
but I expect it to be really bad. So I'm like, I'm not going there. I
Right.
don't want traces of that in my life, just in case any of my conspiracy hat theories, you know, and then we're looking at like, just in case I'm keeping my computers clean and clear of the dark web,
Right. Yeah. It's
you
probably
know.
not a bad idea. Yeah.
But I finished Travelers last night, and I don't know if there's going to be a season 4. Do you think there's going to be a season 4 of Travelers?
Didn't it seem like it kind of ended?
It did.
Yeah, it had like I don't think they're coming back, but I'm not
So
sure. I
since
didn't
it's
look
been
into it.
out for like over a year, can I talk about the ending with you? If you guys haven't seen it, go to Netflix if you have Netflix, because that's a paid subscription. I think it's like $10 a month.
Is there anybody watching it that hasn't reached the end of it? I don't want to spoil it for anybody. We
Because
are,
the ending is important, because it's all about,
and I can't remember the ending,
okay,
so
I
I
can
would
because I
need you
saw
to
it last night.
refresh me.
Um, so first we have to see if anybody's in the room who's going, oh my God, you're going to spoil 2.5 years of watching this series for me.
See, I binge watch stuff, so like when it came out with the new season, I like watched the whole thing in like a day and a half
That's
or
what you
something.
told me. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I just didn't get to it until like the last 2 days. I watched 5 episodes a night. That's a
right,
lot. They're 40 minutes long. So to do 5 and 5, that's a lot.
right, yeah. Oh,
So,
actually, I think I did it. I think I did that one in one night because there was only 10 episodes, right?
yeah,
I
10
think I
episodes
started at
is
like
like
seven
40
or eight
minutes.
at night, and then like 7 the next morning. I'm
You're
like,
like,
all right.
your eyes are going around in circles, right? So that's about time travel through consciousness only. Super cool. Super, super cool.
Oh, it's
That
been canceled. They're
it's been
saying,
canceled. So then that
yeah, it
wasn't
is a
real.
fantastic show. Yeah,
God, that was good. So instead of bringing your physical body back into the past to change history, these people know the times and dates of everybody's death, basically. The AI, right?
right.
What's it called? What's the AI called? It's the
I'm
director.
not gonna.
The
The
director
director. Okay, yeah.
has all the information of everybody's death in the world from the time that the AI was created, right? And then 30 seconds before the person's death, their consciousness is extracted by the director, by the AI of the future, and somebody else called a traveler, number 513. It starts with 101, right? Because they
Right.
had that one there that was really old in the youngest body. He was like a teenager, but he was the oldest traveler.
Right.
Puts a new consciousness in the body. So in a way, it's kind of like what's that called? Oversoul. When April mentioned it last night. She said when she was implanted with her higher self, imprinted,
Ah, right, right,
and
right. Yeah,
walk-ins,
a walk-in.
walk-ins, yeah.
Exactly.
So that would definitely be the definition of a walk-in. But it's AI from the future putting a consciousness into a past body with a group of them to work together to change the past, to have a better future.
Right. So anybody that hasn't watched it, basically since they're from the future, they have a history of when everybody dies, and just lost my camera again for some reason. And So they're able to send people from the future back to take over bodies. So it's not like they're taking anybody's life. They were going to die anyway. And then they're trying to change the timeline by doing this, basically. I think
Basically,
that
for a
sums it up.
better outcome.
Right.
So
So they say.
so they say, but there's a faction of travelers who have come to stop the travelers who are working with AI, with the director. And I'm like,
What are they called again?
the faction.
Oh, the faction.
The
Okay,
faction.
so yeah, the faction. They're sort of the rebel group that's
Yeah.
trying to stop the AI. And they're kind of presented as the bad guys at
They
first, aren't
are
they?
presented as the bad guys. And I'm going, well, wait a minute. They're the rebels. They're working against AI. Those are the ones that I would naturally go with. I'm always like more with the rebel than with authority.
Right.
But this show was the opposite. The faction, the rebels were really bad for trying to stop the authority from coming back and fixing the.
But don't they make you wonder at the end, like, are they really bad?
That's what's so weird because on the last episode, and I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but nobody's screaming in the comments, are they? Don't say it, Eileen. Don't say it.
No, I don't think anybody's.
Okay, so at the end, it's a really interesting twist for me because.
Oh, Renee says she's about to watch it.
Oh, okay. I'm not going to say it then. Because there's a twist at the end, which for our group and for us would make us wonder, well, were we with the wrong guys all along? Were we with
Right.
were the good guys the bad guys and were the bad guys the good guys?
Exactly. So the funny thing is,
So
this
that's
is
the
actually
twist. Yeah, and I'm not ruining anything by telling you what happens.
so we can go to some real life stuff that's going on, right now. And well, actually, a few months back. Do you know who Cliff High is? He has the Wetbot series. He somehow has this algorithm that searches the internet and watches trends and things like that, and can kind of like tell the future of what's going to be happening. Somehow, he can see what's going to be trending in the future, what's going to be going on with all this stuff, and I just found it interesting. He was on Leak Project. I want to say
I used to watch that.
could have been 6 months ago.
Okay. No, I
I
didn't
really
catch
respect the guy and everything. I don't always agree with him, but I do enjoy watching him and hearing his views of what his little computer bot things are figuring out or whatever. He does this paper that you can get for like $7. I bought it one time.
Huh.
And it's basically a report that tells what's going to be happening. It's sort of like it's predicting the future by watching stuff on the internet.
Okay.
It's really interesting the way it works. So the
Makes
last
sense.
one I watched with him, I don't know how long it's been. I think he does them every month. He could do them quarterly or something. Forgive me for not knowing, but the last one he did, he explains how aliens had infiltrated the Earth and
Okay.
were living in human bodies
Okay.
and waiting to be activated. A lot of them didn't know they were aliens, but they're waiting to be activated and come online. And then even gets into this is why 5G's out there, because something about 5G technology allows them to tell who is really alien in human form and who's really a human, right? So he
Is
does
this
this.
science fiction or is this for real?
No, this is his whole thing, right? So as he's like laying all of this out, I'm like, dude, he is explaining how we feel
That's
as
crazy.
star seeds
Yeah.
from the other side. Like,
From the other side. That's
right.
why I'm like,
And
is this a book
right.
he's writing from sci-fi?
And it's like, we're here to take over. It wasn't that we're here to help humanity and raise the consciousness to this new level of consciousness. It was that we were here as invaders.
Oh
But
my
he
God,
wasn't
that is
he wasn't calling it
cool.
star seeds or anything. He was calling it aliens and all this, but I'm sitting there,
But
I'm
I'm
like,
going starseed. That's what starseeds
dude,
say.
he's
They're
like
very
talking,
loving.
he's
Starseeds
talking,
are very loving.
yeah, and he's talking about us as if we're like this scary Hollywood intruder coming to take over Earth, and that we're just trying to covertly take over Earth. It wasn't to help humanity. It was to
To replace humanity, to become the
replace
new
humanity.
humanity. Now, this is interesting. If you read all the books that Dolores Cannon did in her series of the 3 Waves of Volunteers, that was just
Yeah.
one of like 4 books,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing, but in a humanitarian way. The star seeds have come here. They don't know who they are. They suspect that they're not human, right? But they don't know for sure, and they haven't been activated fully yet. because the time hasn't come yet for them to step up and do the jobs that they came to Earth to do. So they don't even know what it is.
So I was amazed
That's
as
what
Cliff
he's
High.
saying. But our group that feels like they're starseed potential are loving, kind, and they say we're helping humanity. But if you're an outsider, Shane, and you're not a starseed, wouldn't you just see them as a bunch of aliens in human bodies as invaders? Wouldn't you know automatically think I'm not a starseed, therefore they're the enemy?
Right.
It makes
Totally.
sense.
And he wasn't. I don't know if he's made the correlation with everything. He was just basically extracting the data of what it looks like is going on, and simply reporting it.
How? That like confirms the entire work of Dolores Cannon and others.
Yeah.
Didn't the Law of One go into Starseed or not? I know Brad Steiger
Yeah.
did. He did walk-ins. He did
Yeah. It
Star
was
People. He did the book
law.
Star People.
Law of One calls it wanderers, where the Dolores Cannon material calls it volunteers.
Volunteers.
Right.
Brad Steiger back in the 70s was the first book that I found on it, but there might have been earlier ones, guys. Correct me if you ever found one. But in like 1977 to 82, he's not alive anymore. Brad Steiger wrote a book called Star People. And he said they
Hmm.
are from many different places out there and they're in human form because they're here to do a job.
Hmm. Which is
Star
interesting
People.
because I'm about to release a BQH where she talks about. I don't want to say too much because it's a book that's being written, but
Oh, I can't
basically,
wait.
sons of Adam or children of the light. Now, they're all brothers and sisters, they just have different origins. And she explains it's sort of like we think of star seeds.
Wow.
Like, like here, but almost like they somehow destroyed wherever they're from and sort of were forced here. So it's a little bit different scenario, but it's still the same concept
Same
of
concept, but for a different
Hel-
reason.
right, helping awaken the sons and daughters or children of Adam to become what they can become so that they can return to their dimension or whatever. So they can sort of ride the
Is
coattails
she
of,
writing a book on that?
right. So there's a book being written for that
As a
right
real
now,
book,
too.
not a work of fiction, right? She's
Right,
writing it as a
exactly.
real.
So, and some of that
Wow.
came through with the BQH session. I'm in the middle of editing it. I'm almost done.
Did you do
I
it with
can't
the
wait to put it
author?
up.
The author of that book
Yes.
did her BQH?
Absolutely. So we're gonna see. I'll be releasing that really soon. Hopefully,
Can't
I hope to
wait.
get it done today, but yeah, maybe tonight. I'll see if I can get it done. But
Wow, now we're all waiting for it. Now we're
yeah,
chomping at the bit like a horse going, come on, we want to hear that one. Well, I know in this group, we do, a lot of us feel like starseed volunteers and wanderers. I know that from
yeah,
interacting with a lot of you privately on email,
yeah,
and we just don't. And listening to Renee last night and listening to April last night and listening to the love stream where it's open to everybody in the community to share,
right,
there is that feeling of, well, I don't really fit in here. I don't really belong here, but I have a job to do. So I'm going to stay, darn it. I'm going to do it. But I don't know what it is. But I feel like I will know. I think I will know. So that's all activation. That's like at some point, something's going to activate people to know what they need to do.
right. Exactly. I heard. I think it was Cryan that was talking about as our DNA gets turned on, we're gonna have more memories and abilities coming. That's just sort of latent abilities, just waiting to come online when our DNA gets reactivated. So I mean, this all
Yep.
fits in the
I
same.
like Chiron.
Yeah.
It's good. I like all those people. And who's the other one who's really Bashar? I like Bashar too.
Yeah.
Um, Magenta Pixie wrote a new book. I just got a notification on Amazon. I can't remember what it's called because it's a really long title. But if anybody likes Magenta, go out and check out her new book. It has a really cool cover, and I thought of you. I thought that's a Shane cover. Shane could have designed that cover.
Oh, I love Magenta
When
Pixie
you'll see it,
books.
you'll see all the colors. It just reminds me of your new backgrounds and your new show thumbnails.
Mm.
Really bright colors.
Yeah, and her titles are always hard to remember. It's
Yeah,
like
it's a really long one, and I
the
just
Infinite
saw it right
Helix
before.
and the Emerald Flame, or whatever
Yeah,
that book I was
I
reading was like
I
really
didn't read
long.
that one yet. Is that one
Yeah,
really good?
yeah, it really is. And that's one of those ones where you can just read it over and over again, and it's a really actually it's a really big book, but I didn't read it over and over again. I would usually read a few pages and like I need to go back and read a couple pages again. I'm kind of lost
But
here,
that's
but
cool because then you could go back to it a year or two from now. You just
yeah,
keep it on your shelf, and when you feel like it, just read a chapter. How about PMH Atwater? We got our interview.
yeah,
Thank you, Debbie Hazelton, for putting us in touch with PMH Atwater.
absolutely.
Very famous author of near death books. She's written 18 books on near death.
Wonderful interview. You guys have that to look forward to next
On.
a week from tonight. We're
Cool.
gonna premiere that, and oh man, it was wonderful. So I know you guys enjoy that.
So, do you want to tag your abundance meditation onto the end of that or not?
Sure, yeah, I can do that.
I love the abundance meditation. I like the original one without music, and I like the new one with music. There's like, I
Yeah,
remember having two in my,
right.
they're both good.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put it in there.
It's going to be a long
I'll
show, though, because I think we spoke with her for about an hour and a half, right?
was it? I'm not sure.
I don't know. We'll see. It went fast.
It
We
did go
only,
fast.
we only touched the surface of what's available with PMH Atwater because she is just so full of knowledge. She's been studying near death seriously for 44 years.
Wow.
So it's just like, it's all there. You know, she
Yeah.
just got the information.
She's amazing. She was amazing to
And we
talk
just
to.
focused on her new book, The Forever Angels, because she was like, how many books do you want to review? But we got her to talk about the Mandela Effect and her book, Future Memory.
Right.
Yeah. So people, if they're more Mandela inclined than near death, they've got, some information on future memory where Cynthia Sue Larson credits PMH Atwater for inventing the term reality shifter.
Mm-hmm.
And we credit that to Cynthia Sue. We're like, God, Cynthia Sue, you're the reality shifting woman because you've been doing it since the 1990s. And she's like, I got it from PMH Atwater because PMH would say after three, consecutive near deaths in a very short amount of time, she would jump dimensions, if you want to call it that. Although nobody thinks we're moving anymore. If you talk to Cynthia and PMH, they think you're staying put, but your mind, your consciousness is traveling somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And she would experience her future, and then she would pop back into her present by staying still in the same place. And then when that future eventually arrived, she'd go, I have a memory of this. I have future memory, which is different to deja vu, right? Deja vu is
Yeah.
slightly different.
And it's sort of like, I mean, even what's his name, Philip K. Dick from
Yep.
the back in the 70s or something was
All those
a
short
lot of his
stories.
books were written from having that perspective of an alternate reality that he
Oh,
remembered
so
and
much
wrote a book about it. And then he knew that someone was going to remember that same reality that
in
he
the
wrote
future.
about and approach him. I mean, he knew all of that. I mean,
He
so
wrote, he had to have near death experiences, or he was an alien or something, because he wrote so many short stories that make sense now. But he was publishing them back in when? When was he publishing? Did he
70s.
did he even write the one that became Blade Runner? Was
I
Do
think he did
Electric
do that one,
Sheep
didn't he?
Dream? No.
Something was Castle into something, and the other one
Yeah,
was
I think he might have been the original author of the Blade Runner idea as well.
right.
But
Really cool though. Real cool his experiences. I know the one that I when he talked in that one French interview was something about he'd gotten some teeth extracted, so it was like triggered by anesthesia or something like
oh,
that. Or no, he actually said what it was. I can't remember it. Propofol or propo something like that.
I had that for my three wisdom teeth coming out.
So
Uh,
that triggered a timeline remembrance for him, and then he wrote
Interesting.
about it, and then others when they read the book remembered it as well and contacted him. So it's pretty wild the way all of that works, you know. But that's sort of Mandela effecty, you know, a different alternate reality. Remember with things being different, and
Yep.
he even
Yep.
he even got into the fact that the timeline he remembered was way. I think what did he say? It was just a lot more segregation still, and um, uh, who's the tricky dick? What's his name? Richard Nixon hadn't got out of.
Tricky Dicky.
Yeah,
Who's
he
the tricky
hadn't.
dick?
He hadn't got kicked out of office in that timeline and stuff like that. So he felt like the edits were fixing things into a better timeline each time,
Interesting.
not going worse. Like
I don't feel like they're going worse, dude. I
no,
don't think anybody here feels like they're in a worse place now than they were a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, right?
I feel like it's better, but I
I
know
feel like
people
it's
that
better.
feel like, but you create your own reality. So, what can you
Yeah, I'm
say?
not even talking on a personal level. I'm talking about like more of a,
Right.
I don't know, maybe it is. There's things happening that are both good and both bad.
Yeah.
So the future is always better and the future is always worse. It depends on what you're going to focus on,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
If you want to focus on the bad bits, it's definitely a lot worse. And if you want to focus on the good bits, it's better.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how we get to create our reality based on what we focus on.
Yeah, we were speaking. Let's see. Can't believe you were speaking. Yep. PMH Atwater. Cynthia and I spoke of her in my live stream. That's the medium that rocks.
Oh, hey, Medium Who Rocks. Yeah, I my favorite book of hers is the old one. It's like one of her first ones. It's called Near Death Experience, The Rest of the Story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really good if you've had
Is
NDE.
that the really big book, or
Nope, nope, it's about 300 pages.
actually the big book says the big book in the title, the
I think
big
it
book
does.
of
The big
NDEs or
book of
something.
near death experiences, where
Right.
she
Right.
presents all her studies. I like the other one because I had the NDEs, and both were medically noted by doctors. And that book gives you 4,000 people who shared your experience. So you can go, did they share my experience? Was mine different? Was it the same? How was it different? So for a person who's had NDE, that's a really great book.
Right.
But
That's actually why you read it.
that's why
It
I
was
read it.
comforting, wasn't it?
I needed company. I was like,
Right.
I'd love to know what people think. And you guys, NDE is a lot more common than we think. I mean, when I read Suso's book, I think he had like 3, 4, 5 NDEs. I don't know. He just kept mentioning, because a lot of NDEs are possible ones where you escape that car accident, but it's a miracle. You don't know how. Remember when you saw a truck and the truck was gone?
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of NDEs are not actually documented by
Right.
doctors.
Yeah.
So a lot of us might have experienced them. And scientists in Edinburgh, according to Cynthia Sue, and I read a paper on Berkeley scientists, are studying whether every time somebody truly passes, they do a shift, so that their consciousness, like a traveler, like the show
Right.
Travelers, just wakes up in another version of their same body with their same family somewhere else. But
Mm.
something's quite a little different. You just notice slight changes.
Which means that some people might not even realize that an actual NDE.
No, they wouldn't know.
That's what me and Suso were talking about, that you
You
know
wouldn't
of.
know.
And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I mean, I could have had a heart attack in my sleep, woke up, and never realized I jumped into another
Except you
timeline.
went, God, this is different. Something's slightly off here.
Maybe not, though. Maybe if it
Maybe
was
not.
something, it could have just been like the day the sun turned from yellow to white or something like that.
Something as simple as that. So, especially this community, Mandela affected, high consciousness, high strangeness in our lives, empaths, lots and lots of empaths here, a lot of earth loving people here, a lot of people loving people, animal loving people here. Definitely could have a history of more than one NDE.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that they all share in common is that after the near death experience, your consciousness really expands. And
Right.
suddenly you're seeing auras, or you're becoming a little psychic, or you're becoming more empathetic, or you can communicate with animals suddenly. Those kind of gifts come online as a direct result of popping back from an NDE.
Yeah. It's very cool.
So that
Yeah, and
can,
she even explains it. Was that why we were recording? Yeah, where she's talking about the shift in the momentum and it goes around, and then she talks about the coiloids or
that's in Future Memory. Everybody get that book. Future Memory, she talks about the coiloids. Is that how you say it?
colloidal. I forget.
It's her term. It's her term
Oh, it
where
is. Wow.
where you
Okay.
get in between, like, okay, your life is spinning with the Taurus, right? And then something comes to interrupt it. And she said it doesn't even have to be an NDE anymore. Did
Right.
you catch that?
Yeah.
And then you get in between the two Tauruses. And this is the Taurus that you're currently in, and this is the Taurus you're moving into.
She
And
does a
it's the
great example of,
space in between,
yeah,
right?
and how some of the particles or cells or
They
whatever,
just float.
yeah, and they remain that way.
They just remain that way. And she's talking about being in between time.
Yeah.
But boy, oh boy, that's the first I read Future Memory, and that's the first I came across that. But it makes a lot of sense if you study plasma
Right.
and toroidal fields. It makes sense.
Yeah, it's all coming together, isn't it? It's beautiful.
It's,
Did we have a topic for tonight?
I don't know. What do you guys want to do? I turned off the air. It's getting hot in here because remember the air was interfering with our interview. It's quite loud where I'm sitting. Um, and I
Yeah.
might
Oh, you know what, Renee? If you can drop me an email, unless Michelle has your email, I sent something to her. Somebody's trying to get a hold of you
Oh,
from hearing you last night, and
cool.
so I sent something to Michelle. But if she doesn't have your email, just drop me an email and I'll forward it to you.
And can I just pick up? I forgot to pick up the squeaky toys. Not that they're interested in them,
Sure.
but I would hate to be in the middle of a
Oh,
meditation and a huge squeak happen. And then I
right.
might, is it okay if I turn the air on and it stays on? Then it won't click off the mic because it'll be on without
Right. It
cutting out.
won't be turning me off. Yeah, exactly.
So if you can go through the chat with people and pick a topic, Shane.
Okay. What do you guys think for this evening? Let me see here. Future memory is a must. Hmm. Let's see. All right. So what do we have here? We've got Lori Polina. I need to go check out his channel. I'm subscribed, but haven't been back there in a while. But I like his stuff, definitely. Trying to think, what can we do? What kind of topic should we discuss? Anything, anybody? Anything coming to mind right now?
I got squeaky toys up and I got the air on. So what'd you come up with? Anything from tonight that we discussed?
Thank you, Dustin.
Hey, Dustin.
It is, you can actually just click my link in the description box. It's shanecrob@gmail.com. shanecrob@gmail.com. Or you can just go to the website, links in the description, and click on the contact tab. And that will actually send it to that same email address. Or if you forget or something, I've got it there. Let's see. Yeah, I thought we'd email back and forth before, and I checked, and I didn't have your email. So, okay. So, sending healing to China. Is that for what's going on over there? Or?
Coronavirus. Should we just heal all viruses worldwide? Just knock them out?
Yeah, something that can continue on. Yeah.
Corona, obviously, not ignoring China, not ignoring Corona, but just
Right, but doing it in a way where people can do this in the future once
do it in a
this
year.
whole
Do it in
scare is gone, and
it's all past.
right. Yeah, I like that.
I have a feeling, based on that information you gave us about the AI and the studies, that the people who are volunteers, visitors, starseed, maybe that's part of what we do. Maybe we're scattered in the population all through the world so that we can knock out the veracity of a virus, not only with our immune systems and our love and our heart and our light, but due to lack of fear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe if the people we meet along the way are like, well, you're not afraid of this, you're not freaking out. And we're like, no, not really. Then maybe they'll catch that piece.
Can we do not only the virus and the pandemic, but even the fear that people have that it can bring it about? Just to put people's mind at ease, too. I think sort of having it as a multi-pronged intention is good. Because there's a lot of people it doesn't affect, but they're in fear about it. And they might be out in a rural area where they're not even at risk, but they're, you know.
But that fear lowers their immunity. It's been proven that people in a state of fear have lower immune system function. So even they're out in the sticks and they're nowhere near a corona pathogen, that fear that they have means that they might be more susceptible to something else that is in their area.
Well, let's see. Dustin saying viruses are actually the catalyst for evolution, I think. Virus
because we
upgrades
build
the
up
DNA.
antibodies naturally to them, and then we're stronger.
They're much more than just disease.
Organisms. Yeah. But if you take immunizations against it, that can actually make the virus stronger. It can go, hey, and morphs, like the measles is now morphing, and everybody who's had the MMR now can get measles because it's so strong. It's changed.
Yeah, I've heard about the super viruses. A lot of it comes from not taking all of your
Antibiotics
antibiotics. Yeah,
and frequent antibiotics, like going in if you have a cold and saying, I
right.
want some antibiotics, I have a
Because it's
cold.
because your body naturally creates antibiotics. So when you do that, it's almost like
It
you've
weakens it.
yeah
Well,
yeah
they say that about cough medicine. I can understand taking a cough suppressant if you're trying to get some sleep, because lack of sleep is just not good when you're trying to heal. But
yeah
during the day, you should be coughing it out, obviously in your own environment, not making other people sick, rather than suppressing the cough, which then stops you from getting rid of all that yucky stuff that you need to get out of your lungs.
yeah. But
So,
there's also things like running some steamy water in the bathroom. There's some
yeah.
more natural ways of trying to deal with it other than going so quickly to the antihistamines and things like that.
Yep, I had doctors in England who said if your child has a fever, let the fever burn up their bacteria or their virus, because that's what
Right.
it's designed to do. The higher temperature of the body will actually kill off what's making them sick
You just don't want it
to a
dangerously high.
point. And then they're like, once they reach 102, then you can suppress the fever, because you don't want to go up to 103, 104, 105, where it's dangerous for the body. But most kids I found going through normal annual sicknesses that kids bring home from school, their fever would only go up to like 100, 101 maximum, usually. Not all the time.
Yeah.
But in America, we were taught, if you get a tiniest little fever, grab the Tylenol, get the fever down, so then
Right.
your body can't fight what's
Right.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like you're fighting the fighter rather than what the problem is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like treating the symptoms instead of treating the cause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do that a lot.
We do that a lot.
And then you got to take something because of the side effects of that, and take something because of the side effects of that.
Exactly.
On and on it
You
goes.
got, and on and on and on. My dog's found a squeaky. Sorry. Going away again. I
No
just heard
problem.
the squeak.
Oops, wrong way. So I don't know. Are you thinking, Dustin? Are you thinking we should do it in a way that we safely, we can safely sort of, what's the word for it?
Too funny. She hid that one. That was not in the dog box. It was
So we
somewhere.
so should we do it as we should be able to safely integrate changes that are coming, or how should we do that? If there's a positive to it, you know,
Well,
just the protection of life.
as Dustin says, we're bumping into viruses and bacteria every day that are making our bodies stronger.
Right.
So,
So how about that and we do this a lot too. Instead of trying to kill, because we hate to use that type of language anyway,
kill the virus.
right? That we will safely, reap benefits from anything that comes our way. You know what I mean? So it's
How about we transmute it? Yeah, we
transmuting it
into time.
into
How about if we transmute it? Anything that we come in contact with.
transmute it into something that actually becomes beneficial,
System.
right? And then it can make us stronger without making us sick, or integrate is the word he's using as well.
Integrate it. And then also try to remove the fear. I don't think we really have it. I don't hear our voices going, oh my God, did you see the latest? Did
See,
you
we're
hear?
not like really on Facebook, and there's all sorts of
No.
scary stuff going around that it just goes viral. Look at this one little story can go viral and have everybody. Yeah.
It goes to the viral, it goes viral. The fear of the virus goes viral. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So integrating it physically and also
Reducing any fear of a pandemic or anything like that.
yeah, eliminating the fear.
Eliminating the fear.
And then also maybe all of us becoming resistant to anything that we can't transmute. If we can't transmute it into something positive,
can transmit it or integrate it in any kind of positive way, then
it
won't affect
we're
us.
immune. It can't affect us. It can't touch us.
Right.
with our heart energy and
Just
our
it's
fields being
benign to
so
our system at that point. If we can't use it in any kind of beneficial way, it's just like nothing. It's benign to our system. Let's
cool.
see. Yeah.
Very topical, you guys. Very current. Okay, I'm gonna put this on silent for just a second and take some water. I've had
All right.
I don't have it a cold or anything, but I just have a tired voice because I've been doing a lot.
Yeah.
So I got a bit of a scratchy voice from just doing a lot.
Yeah.
So there goes video. Are we good?
Yeah. We're good.
There we go. I can already kind of feel a little tickle of hoarseness in my voice, so I will do my best if I have to get like really quiet so it doesn't get too hoarse, maybe. And if it does get hoarse, we like horses, so I don't mind. You guys don't mind. So just get really, really comfortable. And we're going to start off this meditation a little differently just to switch things up a bit and not get too bored with the way we do it. Close your eyes and take a normal breath in and follow it. Follow it with your mind. Breathe in, don't hold it, and then breathe out. Just pay attention to your breath. Pay attention to the rise of your chest and the falling of your chest on the out breath. Pay attention to any sound. Can you actually hear your breath as it comes in and as it goes out? How much time does it take you to breathe in? Is it a second? Is it 3 seconds? And how much time does it take you to breathe out? Pay attention. Follow it. And now breathe deeper and follow that breath going deeper into your body. And as it comes out, pay attention to it and allow your muscles to relax on the out breath. Continue to breathe comfortably and a little deeper than you would normally. And pay attention to that feeling of relaxation moving through, starting at your head, your neck, your shoulders. Just relax them now. Your torso, your legs, your arms, your hands and your feet. Just allow them to fully relax and just be. Just be comfortable resting where they are. And now's a good time. Send down a grounding cord from your root chakra at the base of your spine, all the way down, straight down to the middle of the earth. It's getting there very quickly. This beam of light going from your root chakra to the center of the earth, and let it spread out in all directions. And now, as you continue to breathe in gently, go ahead and breathe in the feeling of love on the in-breath, and exhale the feeling of forgiveness. That could be for you, your family, coworkers, neighbors. It could be for the larger community. And now just kind of switch that breath around and allow yourself to breathe in forgiveness and breathe out love. And now we're all going to symbolically and spiritually join together, holding hands. And you can put a bubble of light around yourself if you like, if that makes you more comfortable, but you are already fully protected and completely protected and safe. And together we're going to imagine that any bacteria or viruses that the earth produces actually serve us. They serve our bodies by making our bodies stronger. So right now, we're going to kind of look around in our mind's eye and not look for viruses and bacteria to attract them, but to say anything that we bump into along the way in our day, we immediately transmute into something good for our physical bodies. And we do it automatically, just like we breathe automatically, and our heart is pumping automatically. And our nervous system is working, and our brain is working, and our digestion is all working automatically. We're going to give our bodies an instruction now that any amoeba, bacteria, or virus that we might happen to bump into anytime, any day, we immediately transmute for our highest good and for the good of all concerned. Our family members, our community members, our neighbors, our colleagues, our friends. And now that we've programmed ourselves to work in symbiosis, a healthy relationship with whatever the earth produces, because we are an extension of earth. We are like earth's little fingers that are detached and running around on the surface. Let's go ahead and remove the fear in a logical way, not in a way that would harm people. So with some fear, they might take precautions, and that might make it easier for them to remain safe and healthy and their family members safe and healthy. But remove the excessive fear on the earth that we share with earth things. And that includes bacteria and viruses and bugs. And let's help our entire species of humanity to approach these things logically and calmly from a sense of higher knowing that they are safe. And though it might be wise to take some extra vitamin C, eat some extra fruit and vegetables, and to wash your hands when you come inside and before you prepare food and things like that, go ahead and take those precautions because they make sense. They're logical. But what we're removing is excessive fear of natural earthly occurrences in the whole population, the shared population that we are one with, the collective human consciousness. We'll just remove that fear so they can still remain wise and logical in their approaches to these things. And we'll just go silent now for 3 minutes as we strengthen our own spiritual immune systems that feed our mental and emotional immune systems, that feed our physical immune system, so that it is stronger and healthier than we could ever imagine. And if it ever bumps into something, a pathogen that could have a really serious negative effect, we instantly transmute it as it comes near. It doesn't come into us. It does not come into our field. It does not affect our field, which is extended to our families and our loved ones. So it does not affect them either. And as we start to move around a little bit, open our eyes and come back, just do so knowing that you are completely safe and completely protected at all times. I'm back.
We are back. I got full body chills on that one.
Yay! Ooh, you're activating your spiritual immune system.
Yeah, absolutely.
I still
Hey,
thought
Mike.
it was nice. Hey, Mike, 5D.
Yeah,
I still thought it was nice that we take the precautions like washing our hands when we come in from the outside. That's just
yeah,
smart. And washing our hands before we produce food.
yeah.
You know,
Especially the people producing my food, right? I'm just.
uh,
Absolutely.
so it's
Well, thank you
smart
for.
to be logical, but
Absolutely, yeah.
just get rid of the excessive fear, which breaks down the immune system. It challenges the immune system in a state of fear.
No, Renee said her hands and feet were vibrating.
Ooh, cool. Mine are hot. I don't think they're very pink, but my palms got very hot. My left palm is hot, and my right palm, one's pink and one's not. How interesting is that? Left sided.
Dustin said, excellent meditation, Eileen.
Thank you, Dustin. Thanks for helping us narrow it down a bit.
And
So
you're so good at this. I appreciate you doing it every week, and
I love
it's
it.
awesome.
Thank you for doing it with me, guys.
And I'm totally impressed that you were even able to do it at ESETI with the live audience and
So
everything.
was I, to be honest. That's
Really?
my first live gig.
It
Yes.
was just so natural for you. You like totally handled it.
This
And
is
not
it.
everybody closed their eyes, so you left your eyes open and looked around, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Because I couldn't hide behind my computer screen there, could I?
No, and people couldn't help it. Like a little peek behind the curtain, I get to watch her.
They did. I saw them peeking.
Not me. I had my eyes closed.
That was fun. That was amazing to know that we can do it as a group in person if we want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
And thanks for narrowing it down, guys, and giving input like, how to really get the details right.
Yeah.
It's like our meditation. It's not just mine.
And it was a good job you did with incorporating it into a way that it continues to work into the future. So,
Future. So all of
yeah.
our future viewers, thank you for being here with us now and giving it your love and your energy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that, what do they call that effect from
Retrocausality?
retrocausality? Right.
Right?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
entanglement, retrocausality. Yeah,
Yeah.
retrocausality.
Yeah. So those joining in with us a year from now are actually adding into.
Now, when AI pops this out into the future, mm-hmm, into other
funny.
dimensions, mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jane. She said, awesome job, Eileen.
Thank you, Jane. I'm just thinking of the show Travelers. I feel like we're all travelers here in this community. Shane has brought together the current travelers into Unbiased and on the Fence shows.
I feel like that a lot too. Back when I was watching the series, like welcome to the 21st.
So funny.
Very cool. All right. Well, lots of love and light and unity to all of you guys.
Yep, love you all. Thank you. I'll be back there watching all the chit chat. I have to wait
Yeah.
for it to post. Takes about an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. Now they're doing like the closed captioning on the fly now, I've noticed. So
Isn't that cool? Yeah.
it's messed up a lot of the time, but
Yeah, but it's there.
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But of course, with that, I've seen instant censorship. The second it's over, I'm like,
Instant.
how do they? Yeah, it's
They're not
instant.
getting us now because we're not saying the key words. See,
Right.
it's a bot thing. We just allude to it without actually saying it.
Yeah, and you can't write an algorithm that can think like a human.
Nope, not yet.
No.
Not yet.
So we can talk around it, and you guys know what we're talking about, but they have no idea.
But the bot doesn't have a clue.
Exactly.
We're
It's a
in
beautiful thing.
early days of AI. According to the Travelers, that director was pretty smart, though. Going 400 years forward, it was a smarter AI.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's Hollywood. They got to make it extra cool,
Extra scary.
Renee knows about that. Hollywood worker or whatever.
Yep, we got a connection. We're in Hollywood. We got Renee.
Yeah, we got our Hollywood node there.
Yeah,
Spreading the love and the light.
that's right.
Awesome, you guys. Well, we love you so much, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you again, Eileen.
Thank you. Bye. Peace.
Peace. Be sure to check out the website at uotf.net. There you will find the live stream schedule displayed in your local time right there on the front page. Below that, you'll find links to take the Beyond Quantum Healing course at a discounted rate, purchase our book, Mandela Effect, Friend or Foe, in paperback or ebook, or to contact me to schedule a BQH session. At the top of the site, you'll find links to help support the work I do, access the free private forum where you can discuss organizing get-togethers in your area, Mandela effects, and more. Thank you all so much for being here.